Michael Rodriguez had been behind the wheel of a semi-truck for 20 years, navigating America's highways with the precision of someone who understood that every mile meant money. At 47, he lived a quiet life in Portland, Oregon, with his wife Lisa, though quiet often meant empty. Their modest home sat in a middle-class neighborhood where Michael's long-haul trucking career provided comfortable living, even if it meant being away 3 weeks out of every 4. Lisa had never hidden her resentment about his frequent absences. What she did appreciate was the steady income that allowed her to maintain a lifestyle she'd grown accustomed to: shopping trips, girls' weekends, and a house that stayed pristine because no one was there to mess it up most of the time. The chest tightness had been Michael's unwelcome companion for weeks. He dismissed it as stress, attributing the discomfort to long hours, bad coffee from truck stops, and the constant pressure of delivery deadlines. Truckers learned to push through discomfort. It was part of the job description. But somewhere outside Denver, Colorado, the pain became impossible to ignore. The crushing sensation in his chest forced him to pull his rig to the shoulder of Interstate 76. His hands shook as he dialed 911, explaining his location and symptoms to the dispatcher. Within 30 minutes, a medical helicopter was transporting him to Denver General Hospital, where emergency room doctors worked frantically to stabilize his condition. Michael's heart was failing. 2 cardiac arrests later, he woke up 3 days later connected to machines that beeped rhythmically, keeping him tethered to life. The intensive care unit felt surreal, sterile, and bright, nothing like the familiar confines of his truck cab. When he finally managed to check his phone, there was only one message from Lisa. The screenshot showed their joint checking account, balance $0 Below it, Lisa had written, "I deserve this after everything I've done for you." $73,692 had vanished. His emergency fund, truck maintenance savings, and retirement nest egg, all gone in digital transactions completed while he fought for his life. Michael stared at the message for several minutes, waiting for anger that never came. Instead, exhaustion settled over him like a heavy blanket. He sent back a single thumbs-up emoji and set the phone aside. When Dr. Patterson made rounds the next morning, she explained that Michael needed complete rest for at least 6 weeks. No driving, minimal stress, and careful monitoring of his heart rhythm. She asked if someone would be picking him up when he was discharged the following day. Michael lied smoothly, assuring her that arrangements had been made. That evening, he called his younger brother David, who worked construction in Seattle. They hadn't spoken in months, not from any animosity, but simply because their lives had taken different paths. David answered on the second ring. "I need a favor," Michael said without preamble. "Name it," David responded without hesitation. "I need a place to stay for a while, and I need you not to tell Lisa where I am." There was a pause. "She doesn't know you're alive?" "Oh, she knows," Michael replied. "She just doesn't know I'm not coming home." Michael's relationship with Lisa had begun 15 years earlier at a gas station outside Seattle. She'd had a flat tire, and he'd been the good Samaritan who stopped to help. Back then, she'd looked at him like he was some kind of hero for knowing how to operate a car jack. It's funny how things that impress people initially become expected over time. They married 6 months later, quick but not reckless. Michael was 32, Lisa 29, old enough to know better, young enough to believe in forever. She never liked his absences, but the money was good, and she enjoyed what it purchased. Their nightly phone calls from whatever state he was passing through had lasted hours in the beginning. As years passed, conversations shortened to 5-minute updates, then just check-ins, and finally mostly text messages. "Made it to Atlanta. All good here. The emotional distance had grown gradually, almost imperceptibly. David helped Michael settle into his guest room. As a construction foreman who'd been divorced twice, David understood something about disappointment and betrayal. He didn't ask many questions, just handed Michael a sandwich and suggested he try to eat something. While recovering at David's house, Michael remembered the house refinancing he'd completed 3 months earlier when interest rates dropped. Lisa had claimed she was too busy to attend the signing, so Michael handled everything himself. Since his credit score was better, he'd put the house solely in his name. Lisa never even asked to see the paperwork. There was also the medical power of attorney he'd established the previous year after his friend Tommy had a stroke and his girlfriend couldn't make medical decisions for him. Michael's niece Sarah, David's daughter and a law student, had helped him arrange everything properly. "She took everything?" David asked, watching Michael push food around his plate. Michael nodded. "What are you going to do?" "Get some rest. Doctor's orders." But sleep didn't come easily that first night. Michael lay awake, remembering small moments where Lisa had seemed distant. Checking her phone secretively, changing passwords, mentioning moving money between accounts for better interest rates. He'd been blind to the signs. On his third day at David's, their neighbor Robert sent a text. "Haven't seen you around. Everything okay? Lisa's got some guy over. Thought you should know." Michael sat with that information for a long time, letting it sink in. Later that afternoon, he and David drove to the main branch of their bank downtown, where Michael requested to speak with a fraud specialist. The bank officer, Mrs. Chen, listened carefully as Michael explained his hospitalization and the unauthorized withdrawals. While joint account holders typically had equal access to funds, she explained, the fact that Lisa had drained the accounts while Michael was medically incapacitated could constitute financial exploitation of a vulnerable adult. "We can start a fraud investigation," Mrs. Chen said, "but we'll need hospital records confirming your condition during the time period in question." "Not a problem," Michael replied. The investigation revealed more than anyone expected. Working with Sarah, whose internship at a local credit union provided valuable insights, they discovered Lisa had been maintaining a secret account for 18 months. The account contained over $150,000 in regular deposits, always just under the $10,000 reporting threshold. The pattern was clear. When Michael was on the road, money went into Lisa's hidden account. Bank records also showed hotel charges in Minneapolis for Lisa and Robert Jensen, their helpful neighbor who'd been playing concerned friend while conducting an affair with Michael's wife. When Michael finally went to court, Judge Harrison reviewed the evidence with obvious displeasure. The combination of Lisa's affair, her secret financial planning, and most critically, her decision to drain their accounts while Michael was unconscious from a heart attack, painted a clear picture of financial exploitation. The exploitation of a medically vulnerable spouse is something this court takes very seriously, Judge Harrison stated, awarding Michael exclusive use of the house and freezing all assets pending final divorce proceedings. Lisa's high-powered attorney, Patricia Williams, had tried to portray Michael's post-hospital absence as abandonment, but the evidence of coordinated deception was overwhelming. Robert had already fled the state after liquidating his accounts, leaving Lisa to face the consequences alone. The final divorce settlement gave Michael the house, his truck, and 80% of their savings. Lisa received her car and the remaining 20%, plus half of her secret account after paying Michael's legal fees. 6 months later, Michael sold the house and bought a smaller place near David and Sarah. He used some of the proceeds to help fund Sarah's law school education. His heart condition prevented him from returning to long-haul trucking, but he found work as a dispatcher for a local transportation company. Being home every night felt strange at first, but stability had its own rewards. People sometimes asked if he remained angry about what happened. The answer was no. You can't control what others do, only how you respond. Lisa thought she was taking everything from him that day in the hospital. Instead, she'd forced him to fight for himself in a way he never had before. Sometimes the life you rebuild is better than the one you lost. Michael learned that lesson the hard way, but he learned it completely.